This is Orlando Sentinel Now.
Hello and welcome. It's Friday, December 17th, and this is Orlando Sentinel Now. Today, we're talking about how interest rates might not cool down Orlando's hot housing market. Plus, we've got a Florida Fresh Air feature for you and the results of this year's Twinkly Awards. I'm your host, Joe Mario Pedersen, and joining me today, I have real estate reporter Trevor Frazier and Things to Do reporter Patrick Connolly. Thank you both so much for being here today. Let's go ahead and jump right into the news. Up first, Trevor Frazier, for one of your latest headlines, Orlando home prices keep going up. Higher interest rates might not stop it. Now, the Federal Reserve on Wednesday announced that it could raise interest rates to combat inflation 3 times next year. But you spoke to experts saying that that might not help decrease the rising prices of real estate in Orlando. Why is that?
Well, long story short, because demand is too high. Because there are just too many people who need homes and who want those homes to be here in Orlando and in the Orlando area. So the expert that I spoke to, Foster Algier, who he is the founder of First Alliance Capital, and he's a wholesaler and investor, and has been doing this for decades. His argument is that yes, the interest rates have been historically low, and we should look at that because the interest rates being below 3% this year when you've got average mortgages going for 2.75 and 2.95%. That's historically low. And that has definitely driven a lot of the mortgage. A lot of people have gotten into this because they're just looking at it and going, hey, I can get a much better deal right now if I buy another house or if I refinance my house and so on with the low mortgages. And he's like, so certainly that's brought in a lot of the business that's been happening. And when those rates go up, which they, like we said, the Fed said that they will likely could raise rates as much as 3 times next year. As those rates go up, that will kick some people out. Some people will just stop looking, stop trying to buy houses because, once the rate's up, that's the thing. But most people who are buying houses right now are buying them because we still face a housing shortage. They're buying because we have never built as many houses as we should have after the last recession. So we're still sort of behind. There are people who have estimates there, as to how many houses should have been built, based on historical records. But the real thrust of it is just we don't have enough houses for everybody. And in Orlando, we don't have enough houses for everybody who wants to live here. And that's a lot of people. A lot of people want to move here.
So to clarify there, Trevor, what experts ultimately are saying here is raising the interest rate might reduce that pool a little bit, but ultimately won't see those prices fall until there's a bigger inventory.
Right. And those prices probably won't fall. And this is something that he wanted to say. So this last in November, working off the report from the Orlando Regional Realtors Association puts out their monthly report. And in their last report, we hit another record high. The median home price in Orlando hit $330,000. We have set records almost every month this year. It is, 300 was a record, 305, 310, and it just kept going up. We hit 330 in this last month. We had one little brief in September. The price fell slightly from August. And people thought, oh, maybe it's starting to cool down. The school year started. Fewer people are going to want to look for houses. But that really hasn't been the case. There are just too many people who want to move here that even the usual slowdown that happens in fall didn't happen this year. It's just been, rocket sort of market this time. So the prices hit this other record. But it's not like 2006 and 2007 where people were overvaluing homes by 75 and 85% and so on. This is a sort of steady increase because of the availability of money that has happened. Some of that has been that people saved a lot of money during the pandemic. Some of that has been that people, by not going out and by not having anywhere to go, suddenly found themselves with enough to do a down payment or to at least get a down payment started on a house. And there's just been more available money because of the low interest rates to getting these houses. And so that has definitely been part of it. But the price is really dictated by the demand. And what's going to happen, according to Mr. Algier, who I spoke to, and to other people that I've talked to about this, is that they believe that the price isn't going to plummet the same way it did in 2006 or anything like that. When this slows down, it's just going to slow down. The price won't accelerate as fast. It probably won't go up by $5,000 every month, but it will just sort of level off around where it is now. And you might be able to get some better deals by the end of next year, but it won't be anything too drastic. It's going to look very similar to what it looks like now.
A really interesting story. And if you guys are looking for more insight, take a look at Trevor's full report available right now at orlandosentinel.com. Trevor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, I want to shift on over to Patrick now for a Florida Fresh Air feature. This week, Patrick, we're taking a look over at West Orange Trail. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. Well, I went for a nice, bike ride on the West Orange Trail the other day. Put in some miles, going out and back on it just to kind of see and remember what's all along there. And I remembered that I do love the West Orange Trail. Kind of as the name would imply, it goes through Western Orange County, and at its western terminus, it actually does connect with the South Lake Trail. So in theory, you could have a nice long bike ride of probably up to 60 miles round trip if you wanted by connecting into the South Lake Trail and going through Claremont and past Lake Mineola. It starts on one side in Apopka. It goes through Winter Garden in Oakland. So it's right through downtown Winter Garden. So there's a really convenient access for people who live in a lot of neighborhoods around there. I mean, you see that there's just, houses right around it, and it's definitely a popular spot for people who want to walk their dogs or get out for a quick jog. But like I said, it's also available that you could do like kind of a nice long ride on there. So, and it's interesting to notice once you get out a little further, especially towards, Southern Lake County, nearing that, you do notice some hills as well. Like I remember seeing a sign, it was like there's a slope ahead, and how often do you hear that in Florida? So it actually does give you a little workout sometimes. You're kind of going up and down these hills. And I should mention too, of course, walking, running, bike riding are going to be the most popular activities on this trail. Also open for rollerblading. I believe you can skateboard on the trail too. And there's also an equestrian trail, which doesn't span quite the whole length, but it kind of just runs adjacent to the paved path for most of the way.
I can see why you love it. There seems to be a huge range of activities that you can do there. Like you said, short jog to a long ride. So a lot of variety. So for anyone who's interested in that, what are some things they should know before they head on over?
So technically speaking, the West Orange Trail is 22 miles. Then, as I mentioned, it connects with the South Lake Trail as well, which extends another 10 miles or so. But along those 22 miles, you have probably at least 6 or 7 different access points. I mentioned a couple of the main trailheads in my story. Some of them even have amenities like bike rentals, maybe bike tune-ups as well, concessions at one or two of them, like Killarney Station and Winter Garden Station. Find restrooms there too, playgrounds. So definitely a lot of amenities along the trail, plenty of places to fill up your water. Generally speaking, it's open sunrise to sunset. You're going to find benches, trash cans, pavilions along the way. I would just say, Orange County posts some tips to be kind of trail aware and trail safe. They advise don't wear headphones, maybe bring a buddy, or just have a cell phone handy in case you happen to need help or you want to reference a map or whatever. Always be mindful of hydration and, sun exposure and all that. And also just trail manners. If you're on a bike, you're going to want to let walkers and runners know with an audible signal, like just say passing on the left to let them know that you're coming up, and just kind of like be aware, especially in more congested areas where there's going to be more people.
Well, there you go. If you're looking for more information on the West Orange Trail, be on the lookout for Patrick's Florida Fresh Air features coming out every Friday. Patrick, thanks for a lot on that. But before we move on, I do want to touch on one other thing here, and that is, of course, the annual Twinkly Awards, in which you explore Central Florida and taking a look at some of the best Christmas light decorations around here. The results of that coming out, and we want to talk about for a second here about 3 or 4 different houses. The first one I want to ask you about is Lumos Maxima, which sounds very Harry Potter inspired. So I'm very interested in this house. What's going on with here?
Sure. So this year's list features 31 homes. It was going to be 30, was kind of what we were shooting for. Then I realized I forgot one, so it's 31. This one in particular is new for this year. Of course, each year we have some, Twinkly recipients who are returners, people who really just go all out every year and are worth seeing year after year. This one was new. It's put on by the Leday family. They call it the Holiday Show. It's kind of a play on their last name, and it's out in Mineola, not far from Claremont. And it's one of these shows. It's a dancing light display. So you show up, tune in with your radio, and you can see the lights dance to music. And I immediately noticed whenever I got there, this one is just fun, it's playful. And then they also had this like techno remix of a Harry Potter song. And that's what inspired this award name, which is Lumos Maxima, a Harry Potter spell. And they also have fountains in their front yard too. They shoot up water. There's a couple like Disney songs as well. This one was just entertaining. It was fun. I just loved watching it. And especially because it was new for this year, I love seeing it.
Awesome. We got some other houses here to explore. One on Jeter Bend Drive in Celebration. Can you tell us about that?
The lights on Jeter Bend has become kind of an event at this point, and that was evidenced by my visit this year. I mean, previously they would let cars kind of drive down the street, and of course, if you really need to get down, you can. But otherwise, the streets are just flooded with people because has become such a community event. There's 11 houses on one street in Celebration, all synced up to music together. They have fog bubbles. They have a snow machine, which seemed to be a hit among the kids. And this year, I even saw someone out there selling, homemade cookies from a local bakery. So it's really quite the event. And this particular street in Celebration has been featured on ABC's The Great Christmas Light Fight before. So it has a reputation, and it's pretty magical for sure. It's a great place to take really the whole family.
So up next here, we have Frosty Furs, Goals Dancing Light Display. What's going on here?
So this one, if I remember correctly, is a little bit out of the way. It's towards the Florida Turnpike in St. Cloud. But what I really enjoy about this, it's another one of the dancing displays, and some of these houses use what they call pixels. They're like LED bulbs that can change any color and, do whatever. And so this one has two trees made of lights out of LED pixels, and I particularly enjoyed the trees turn into Frosty the Snowman, and they like sing along with the track.
Happy birthday!
Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul, with a corncob pipe and a button nose and two eyes made out of coal.
Some displays like this, it's not over the top extravagant in the sense that, I mean, some of these houses have so many lights you could probably see them from outer space. This one, it's more about the quality than the quantity. It's a very clean, put together display. And I love the Frosty the Snowman. Just to see these like trees of light appear as Frosty the Snowman singing to the song, I thought was pretty cool.
Very much sounds like it. The last one I want to touch on here, Patrick, is different from the previous three in the fact that it touches on something a little bit more somber. Remembrance and Reflection, a COVID-19 memorial. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So this home is right in Orlando, not far from Lake Como. It belongs to David Newbar and Frank Boyce, and their home has also developed a little bit of a reputation in a good way as the display that you want to see. There, people are like, "There's this house. It's on one of these streets. Like, you got to see it." But in the previous 2 years, this year and last, their display has taken on added significance. Last year, they had about 220,000 lights on their house to represent victims of COVID-19, trying to kind of pay tribute to those lives lost to the pandemic. This year, they've gone even further, and unfortunately, this doesn't even touch the number of lives lost in this country. They've gone up to 500,000 lights on their house. This one, it's just, it takes a moment to take it all in and reflect and just realize that, like, oh, each one of these lives represents a person that we've lost. So it's definitely one to spend some time with, and they have a sign out front that explains all of this. Usually they'll sit out front too, but this is one that's good to just, reflect on the beauty of it, but also the meaning behind the display.
Really, really impressive stuff, and just such a great to pay tribute and embrace the spirit of the season right now. If you're all interested in looking at more of these displays, be sure to take a look at the Twinkly Awards and the results for that at orlandosentinel.com. Where, of course, you can get caught up on all of the news that we've talked about here today as well. And, of course, a bunch of different stories happening in and around your community. For those of you who are supporters of the Orlando Sentinel, thank you so much for continuing to support our work and subscribing to it. For those of you who are looking for a Christmas gift, consider the gift of news and buying a subscription for one of your loved ones looking to get more in touch with their community. It's really easy to do so. All you need to do is visit orlandosentinel.com/subscribe. But that will do it for us today. That'll do it for us for a little while. OSN is going on a break, but we'll be back again in the new year with more news. A big thank you to Trevor and Patrick for keeping us filled in what's going on in our community. We'll see you again soon. Stay healthy, stay safe, and happy holidays.
Watch Orlando Sentinel Now live every weekday at noon on our Facebook page and on orlandosentinel.com.